Morant with a running start. Elevates. Oh, it dunks. Oh, my goodness.
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn. His heave is good. Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining.
Conley now with three. Count it. A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant. He hit it. John Morant, insanity.
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. Trade deadline. The Grizzlies made a deal edition. My name is Keith Parish. Danny Green, we barely knew you. He got traded away, sent to what many would call basketball purgatory and or hell, sent to the Houston Rockets as part of a three-way deal with the Clippers as the Grizzlies get Luke Kennard back. So the Grizzlies trade Danny Green for Luke Kennard, a trade that was specifically mentioned on the previous episode of Grits and Grinds. The Grizzlies do not sit on their hands. They do something. Are we excited about it? How do we feel about it? I'm not sure how I feel about it. When I put it in the context of the enthusiasm and exhilaration I felt earlier in the day, I'm a little bit let down. Earlier in the day, when I woke up and found out that Kevin Durant had been traded to the Suns, and all of a sudden these perfect pieces that I've coveted for years were on the move, talking about the Cam Johnsons of the world, talking about Mikal Bridges, I started thinking, whoa, forget OG Anunoby. Can we go get Mikal Bridges? And even then thinking about, all right, likely Mikal Bridges is off the table, despite me and my fake trades wanting to offer 3 first-round picks for him, plus Zaire and Danny Green or Tyus Jones or whatever it took to get him. Thinking, all right, maybe Mikal Bridges is off the table, but at the very least, we could get Dorian Finney-Smith. That would help our bench greatly. That's a guy who slots perfectly alongside Ja and Dez and Dylan and Jaren. And these are the 3-and-D players that elite teams need, that teams that have not great shooting point guards need. Surely we can get one of these guys, or even like a Royce O'Neal. So trade deadline day for a lot of Grizzlies people, I think Grizzlies fans were thinking, what can we get? Can we even do it? Or are we going to get OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges or Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith? And so for all of that to go through our minds to then end up with, okay, we got Luke Kennard. Yeah, all right, that's pretty good. I think is a natural reaction. I'm not incredibly enthusiastic about the deal. I'm not upset about the deal. I think the Grizzlies got better. I think the odds of Luke Kennard contributing probably better than Danny Green contributing. If Danny Green stays fully healthy this whole postseason and looks like the Danny Green of old, maybe he'd be an even better fit. Because the drawback for me with Kennard is he's not very big. He's kind of small, and we already have a small backup point guard in Tyus Jones. Desmond Bane, of course, notably has a small wingspan, and that guard rotation that the Grizzlies currently have now of John Morant, Desmond Bane, Tyus Jones, Luke Kennard, they're all on the small end. And do I want to play 3 of those 4 guys on the court at the same time? I don't really that much, as enticing as it would be to pair up the 3-point shooting of Bane and Kennard. Are the Grizzlies going to play 3 of those 4 guards at the same time? Yes, I think a lot. I think they will do that a lot. Do I also have leftover maybe PTSD about the Grayson Allen experience on the Grizzlies and how similar another smaller shooting guard from Duke makes me feel? Yeah, I think I do. If you weren't a Grits and Grinds listener years ago, I was thoroughly confused with how much Grayson Allen played, especially in the playoffs as he got annihilated on defense. Now, the obvious difference being now we have Desmond Bane. We did not have the real Desmond Bane back then. Or at least Desmond Bane hadn't emerged as this borderline all-star that he is right now. I'm not worried about Desmond Bane losing playing time to Luke Kennard. But I think there are legitimate concerns about Does this help the Grizzlies defense? No, not at all. Does it help their rebounding? No, not at all. Does it help their, ability to force turnovers? No. No, I don't think so. But Luke Kennard can shoot the basketball. He is 6th in the NBA in three-point percentage this year. Last year, he led the NBA in three-point percentage. If you want to get super fired up about the trade, look at last year's three-point percentage leaders in the NBA. 1, Luke Kennard. 2, Desmond Bane. They're both on the Grizzlies. That seems good. If I want to get you to slow down, I would remind you, despite that three-point shooting prowess, Luke Kennard didn't play every night for the Clippers. He was in and out of the lineup. He would get DNPs when he was healthy. Clipper fans, it's hard to find Clipper fans online. Clipper fans, by and large, not broken up about this deal. They don't care necessarily that the Clippers got rid of this guy. Luke Kennard's not going to be in your closing lineups. Maybe if you need a three-pointer, certainly he'll come in, for three-point situational moments. If you want a really fun cherry-pick stat, last year, Luke Kennard was unbelievable in the clutch. And if you narrow clutch moments down to the final 2 minutes of games, if the score is within 5, last year Luke Kennard made all of his shots. 8 for 8. All of them were three-pointers. His shooting splits were 100, 100, 100 in the final 2 minutes of games if the score was within 5. 8 for 8 on three-pointers. Does that stat mean anything? Of course not. Clutch stats never mean anything, I don't think. But Luke Kennard's a great shooter. Can you ever have too much shooting? No, probably not. Is it an upgrade over Danny Green? Yeah, probably so. Not defensively, but probably offense is the greater need for the Grizzlies at this point. Was the price right? I said on the previous episode I would do this to give the Clippers salary savings. We also threw in 3 second-round picks. Now, second-round picks you don't have to be precious about. You don't necessarily have to be too worried about them. They were flying around, by the way. Tons of second-round picks were moved. The price for Saddiq Bey was apparently 5 second-round picks. The price for Jay Crowder was 5 second-round picks. The price for Luke Kennard, apparently 3 second-round picks. I would have obviously been more excited about this deal if you got Luke Kennard without sending out any second-round picks, but you sent out 3. Okay. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you that bad, I wouldn't think. I don't know if this is that much of a needle mover for the Grizzlies. I do think it should improve them. It should help them get that 3 points per game average back up over last year's total. We're currently under the 11.5 made threes per game the Grizzlies were scoring last year or making last year. When I look at this trade in the context of last year's team, do I get excited about it? No, I don't. That's another reason I'm not that super excited about it. Would I point out that makes the Melton trade now? We traded DeAnthony Melton and 3 second-round picks for David Roddy and Luke Kennard. Is Luke Kennard better than DeAnthony Melton? No. Not in my estimation. Will Luke Kennard help you more in the playoffs? I have no idea. Luke Kennard is a much worse defensive player. He's a more accurate three-point shooter. Their volume is similar as far as three-point shooting. Luke Kennard makes more money. One interesting thing about this is if the Grizzlies still had DeAnthony Melton, I don't think this trade would be legal. I don't think DeAnthony Melton's salary would have been enough to salary match for Luke Kennard. So maybe you needed that extra $2 million a year that Danny Green made to make this trade happen this year. Would I rather pay Luke Kennard $14 million or DeAnthony Melton $8 million? Well, let's not be silly. Luke Kennard should help this team, should help the bench scoring. It also, I think, is notable that for the overall story of the Grizzlies that Dillon Brooks stays around. Dillon Brooks not moved to the trade deadline. Zaire Williams not moved to the trade deadline. None of the other young rookies, none of the other developmental projects moved at the trade deadline. Grizzlies kept everybody in-house that they've been developing. They flipped Danny Green's expiring contract for a guy under contract for next year. That's another very notable element of this deal. Luke Kennard, his salary is fully guaranteed for next season, and the season after that, it is a team option. One really good thing about trading for Luke Kennard is you now have more matching salary options going forward. The Grizzlies can now, if they need to, make a trade for Dorian Finney-Smith in the offseason or whoever. Tyus Jones plus Luke Kennard in the offseason is $30 million of matching salary. That could be very useful, and you saved all of those first-round picks. The Grizzlies still have all of their first-round picks, so they can, if they want to be, we keep saying this every season, though, but still, if they wanted to make a big deal in the offseason, they could probably make a big deal. They chose not to cash in. They chose not to make a big move. As a fan, at the very least, I'm relieved that no one got the players I wanted either. Like OG Anunoby stayed in Toronto. Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Mikal Bridges all stayed on the Nets. The Grizzlies added three-point shooting. In a playoff series, is it going to be better to have 10 minutes of Luke Kennard or 10 minutes of Danny Green? That I truthfully don't have any idea. I don't know the answer. One bonus of Luke Kennard is he can handle the basketball a little bit. I do think the added offensive kick, as far as Luke Kennard being better at scoring than Danny Green. Like if you gave Luke Kennard 25 minutes, he's going to score 10 to 15 points, I think. If you give Danny Green 25 minutes, he's going to score 0 to 10 points, usually. I went ahead and made up a rotation for what I'm pretty sure the Grizzlies rotation will look like when they're fully healthy. If they get to game one of a playoff series, I'm guessing they're going to go 10 deep again. And your starters, set in stone, essentially. Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dillon Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams. You feel good about that. And now your bench is Tyus Jones, Luke Kennard, Brandon Clark, Santi Aldama, and then probably one of David Roddy, John Conchar, and Zaire Williams. Now, is there a chance come playoffs Luke Kennard is not in your 10-man rotation? I will say certainly yes. I think it's possible, like Zaire Williams gets his act together. And if Zaire Williams gets his act together, could I see them playing Conchar and Zaire over Luke Kennard going forward? Yes, I could. Absolutely. Which again goes back to the thing, like this is not a perfect fit, and this is not like a home run where I think it's a clear win. You picked up another guy who can shoot, and that's good to have. You picked up another guy who can run backup point in a pinch. I like that about him. If the Grizzlies move on from Tyus Jones this summer, if they trade him for something, Luke Kennard can probably be your backup point guard. At the very least, Desmond Bane plus Luke Kennard can fill in. It probably also means Kennedy Chandler doesn't play anymore this regular season in moments that matter. Not that he was playing a lot, but I think Kennard, with this investment in this trade, they will probably try to find that playing time for him. Now, did the Grizzlies do enough to keep up with the West? I think that's a fair question. The Nuggets look to be better than the Grizzlies. They're obviously ahead of them in the standings. The Nuggets got rid of Bones Highland. They just didn't want him. And the Nuggets got a backup center in Thomas Bryant. Backup center was definitely a need for the Nuggets. This doesn't really change how good they are or anything. The Clippers are just weird. The Clippers added Mason Plumlee and Eric Gordon, but have gotten rid of all their point guards. Got rid of John Wall, who wasn't really playing. Got rid of Reggie Jackson, who'd been struggling. I don't totally understand the roster. The Lakers leveled up. The Lakers did a really nice job of turning Russell Westbrook's contract into Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, and Jared Vanderbilt. I think that's pretty solid for them. Lakers are much scarier than they were a week ago. The Timberwolves have Mike Conley now. They thought Mike Conley was a better fit and maybe a better chemistry option for that locker room than D'Angelo Russell. And they should have Karl Anthony Towns returning at some point. The Suns, of course, got Kevin Durant. Now, I have got a lot of questions about the Suns roster beyond Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton. They have a lot of question marks. They have a lot of defensive question marks. Can you get rid of all your wings? I don't know. They're going to be a question, but obviously they're a little bit scary. I mean, they were scary as is. The Warriors brought back Gary Payton II. They got rid of James Wiseman, who wasn't playing, to get back Gary Payton II, who helped them win a title last year. There's an arms race in the West. The Pelicans got Josh Richardson, which I like. Josh Richardson, who I've mentioned on this show several times as a good player. I think this is a great Little minor addition for the Pelicans. There's an arms race in the West. Is Luke Kennard a needle mover in that arms race? No, I don't think so at all. I think the Grizzlies' success is going to come down to their starters being healthy. Can Luke Kennard get hot and make some threes in the postseason? That's the dream. Is he more likely to hit 6 threes in a playoff game than Danny Green was going to be? Yes. So maybe the odds of Luke Kennard swinging a playoff game and thus possibly a series are higher, so you make the deal. Does Zach Kleiman have a fixation on Duke players? I don't know, but we've certainly had several of them. Of course, the last Grizzlies trade deadline move was to get Justice Winslow. They have Tyus Jones. They had Grayson Allen. So it was a roller coaster of a day. It will be interesting to see what Luke Kennard brings to this team. I assume he will probably be available to play on Friday night for the home game against the Timberwolves. I mean, what a game that'll be. Mike Conley and Kyle Anderson on the Timberwolves against the Grizzlies, who should be debuting Luke Kennard. I think he will jump right into the rotation. And Danny Green, by the way, Danny Green leaves the Grizzlies after playing 3 games, scoring 9 points. He is currently 244th in Grizzlies franchise history in points scored. 1 point behind Ronnie Brewer, who the Grizzlies acquired at the trade deadline in 2010. I still remember that moment. I wonder if you do too. Anyways, thanks for listening to this episode. Thanks to everybody who came to the playback hangout for the trade deadline. Appreciate you guys. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Talk to you soon. Go Grizz.